Arman slowly opened his eyes. Everything around him was blurry. A bright white light hung above him, and a faint beeping sound echoed nearby. His head felt heavy, and a sharp pain shot through his body as he tried to move. As his vision cleared, he realized he was lying in the school infirmary. Confused, he looked around the room. "Where am I?" he whispered. A voice answered from beside him. "You're awake." Arman turned and saw Maya sitting quietly in a chair next to his bed. "Maya?" he said. "What happened?" "I found you near the basement entrance," Maya replied. "You were unconscious." The moment she mentioned the basement, fragments of memory rushed back into his mind. Dark corridors, cold air, a distant voice, and chilling words. "Welcome back." Arman sat upright. "The basement," he muttered. Maya looked at him carefully. "What about it? I remember being down there. I remember hearing someone." Maya frowned. "Hearing someone?" Arman rubbed his forehead. The harder he tried to remember, the more his memory seemed to slip away. "I don't know," he admitted. "It's all blurry." Maya remained silent. "You should get some rest," she finally said. "You hit your head." Arman wasn't convinced, but he was too exhausted to argue. Later that afternoon, the school nurse allowed him to leave. As Arman walked through the corridors of Blackwood Academy, everything appeared normal. Students attended classes. Teachers moved from room to room. Conversations echoed through the hallways. And yet something felt wrong. As he passed a group of students, none of them seemed to notice him. Not a single glance, not a single greeting. It was as though he wasn't there. A chill ran through his body. The lights above him flickered briefly. Arman stopped walking. For a moment, he thought he heard a whisper somewhere in the distance. He turned around. The corridor was empty. The whisper was gone. That evening, Arman returned to his dormitory and sat on the edge of his bed. The events of the day replayed endlessly in his mind. The basement, the voice, the missing memories. Nothing made sense. After several minutes of silence, he picked up his phone and called his mother. The call connected after a few rings. "Arman?" Sarah answered. "How are you, son?" The moment he heard her voice, some of the tension left his body. "Mom, something happened." Concern immediately filled her voice. "What happened?" Arman took a deep breath and told her everything. He described the basement, the darkness, the strange feeling that someone had been watching him, and finally the voice. "It said something to me," he said quietly. Sarah remained silent. "What did it say?" she asked. Arman swallowed. "It said, 'Welcome back.'" The line went silent, only for a moment. Just then Sarah spoke again. Her voice sounded calm, almost too calm. "You're probably overwhelmed, Arman." "No, Mom. I know what I heard." "I believe you," Sarah replied gently, "but fear can make ordinary things seem much worse than they are." Arman leaned back against the wall. "I feel like something is wrong with this school." Sarah sighed softly. "Blackwood Academy has always been a strange place." The moment she said it, she paused, as if she had revealed more than she intended. "What do you mean?" Arman asked. "Nothing," she answered quickly. "Every old school has rumors and stories. Don't let them get into your head." Arman wasn't completely convinced. Still, hearing his mother's voice comforted him. "Mom? Yes?" "What if I can't figure this out?" Sarah smiled sadly. "You will. How do you know?" "Because you're stronger than you think." Arman remained quiet. Sarah continued. "You're brave, son. Whatever mystery is hiding inside Blackwood Academy, you'll find the truth." For the first time all day, Arman felt slightly better. After talking for a few more minutes, they said goodbye and ended the call. Sarah slowly lowered her phone. The smile disappeared from her face. She sat alone in silence. Then a memory surfaced. Several months earlier, she had been sitting in the same room, staring at Blackwood Academy's admission letter. For a long time, she simply looked at it. Then she picked up her phone and dialed a number. The call connected. "Hello?" a woman's voice answered. Sarah hesitated. "My son is joining Blackwood Academy." Silence followed. The woman on the other end seemed to understand the significance of those words immediately. "Are you sure?" she asked. Sarah looked down at the letter. "No." Another silence followed. Then the woman spoke again. "My daughter is already studying there." Sarah closed her eyes. "Then please," her voice trembled slightly, "ask her to keep an eye on him." The woman didn't answer immediately. Finally she said, "I will." The memory faded. Sarah stared into the darkness. Her expression was filled with worry. "They'll get through this," she whispered. A pause followed. Then she added quietly, "just like we did." Back at Blackwood Academy, Arman lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. Outside, the wind rattled the dormitory windows. Eventually, exhaustion began to take over. His eyes slowly closed. The room became silent. Then suddenly, his phone screen lit up on the table beside him. No notification appeared. No message. Only a screen filled with static. A faint, distorted voice emerged from the speaker. So faint, it was almost impossible to hear. "Welcome back." The screen immediately went dark. Arman never heard it. He was already asleep. But somewhere deep beneath Blackwood Academy, hidden far below the basement, something had awakened. The noise Arman opened his eyes in the middle of the night. The dormitory was dark and silent, except for the faint sound of wind pressing against the old windows of Blackwood Academy. For a moment he didn't move. He just stared at the ceiling, trying to understand why he had woken up. Then he heard it. A sound from beside his bed. His phone. A constant, repeating notification tone. Not loud at first, but persistent. Annoyingly persistent. Arman slowly turned his head toward the bedside table. His phone screen was lit, but there was no visible notification. Just a blank screen flashing faintly, as if something inside the device was trying to push through. The sound continued. Again, and again. Arman frowned and picked up the phone. The screen went completely normal the moment he touched it. Silence. No notifications. No calls. No messages. He stared at it for a few seconds. "What the hell?" he whispered. Just as he was about to put it down, a voice came from the other side of the room. "Can you stop that?" Arman looked up. One of his dorm mates had sat up in his bed, irritated. Everyone else was still asleep. "Stop what?" Arman asked quietly. "The sound," the boy said. "Your phone. It keeps buzzing every few seconds. We're trying to sleep." Arman looked at his phone again. It was silent. No vibration. Nothing. "I think you're dreaming," Arman said. The boy stared at him for a moment, then lay back down. "Just put it on silent." Silence returned to the room, but Arman didn't feel calm. He placed his phone on the table again, and the moment he did, the sound returned. Same tone, same rhythm, but only he could hear it. Arman sat up slowly. The phone screen lit up again. This time faint static appeared across it, then disappeared, then returned again. Arman's heartbeat quickened. He locked the phone. The sound stopped. He unlocked it again. The sound came back. Arman froze. Something was wrong. Not with the phone, with something inside it. He turned the phone off completely. Silence. Finally, he exhaled and lay back down. But sleep didn't come easily after that. The next morning, Blackwood Academy looked normal again. Too normal. Students walked through the corridors, talking, laughing, carrying books like nothing had ever happened. But Arman noticed something strange. No one mentioned the basement. No one mentioned Student 317. It was as if the school had silently agreed to ignore everything unusual. Arman entered his classroom and sat down. A few students glanced at him, then looked away. He felt it again. That same distance, like he was slightly outside their world. During the lecture, Arman couldn't focus. His mind kept returning to the phone. The sound, the static, and the feeling that something had been watching him through it. When the class ended, students began gathering in small groups outside. Arman hesitated before approaching a group of classmates. It was the first time he tried to speak to them properly since joining Blackwood. "Hey," he said. A few students turned to look at him. One of them, a boy sitting on the railing, raised an eyebrow. "You're Arman, right?" Arman nodded. "Yeah." There was a short silence. Then another student spoke. "This your first month here?" "Yeah." The boy smirked slightly. "Then you probably don't know the stories yet." Arman frowned. "What stories?" The group exchanged glances, then one of them lowered his voice. "There's a reason people don't stay curious in this school." Arman's attention sharpened. "What do you mean?" Another student, slightly older, leaned forward. 20 years ago," he said, "something happened here." Arman stayed silent. The student continued. "2 students from this academy were involved in something big. After that, everything changed." "What kind of change?" Arman asked. The student hesitated, then shrugged. "No one really knows. Some say it was an accident, some say it was a ritual, some say they opened something they shouldn't have." Arman felt a strange chill. "Opened what?" he asked. The students looked at each other again, but none of them answered clearly. Instead, one of them said, "Just stay away from the old parts of the school, especially anything underground." Arman's expression tightened. "The basement?" The group went quiet for a moment. Then one of them laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, that too." but no one explained further, and just like that, the conversation ended. Later that day, Arman found Maya sitting alone behind the library again. This time, she didn't look surprised to see him, almost like she was expecting him. "You didn't sleep well," she said before he even spoke. Arman sat beside her. "How do you know?" Maya glanced at him. "Your face says everything." Arman let out a tired breath. "I think something is wrong with my phone." Maya raised an eyebrow. "What happened?" Arman hesitated, then he told her about the night. The constant notification sound, the dorm mate hearing it, the static. Maya listened carefully without interrupting. When he finished, she stayed silent for a while. Then she said quietly, "This place does that." Arman looked at her. "What do you mean?" Maya avoided his gaze. "Blackwood affects things, not just people." That sentence stayed in the air longer than it should have. Arman studied her face. "You sound like you already knew that." Maya didn't answer immediately. Instead, she changed the topic. "What did your classmates say about the school?" Arman remembered the conversation. "Something about 20 years ago," he said. Something was opened. Maya's expression changed slightly. Not shock, not surprise, recognition, but she quickly controlled it. "That's what people always say," she replied. But Arman wasn't convinced anymore. Something about her reaction felt off. That night, Maya returned to her room. She closed the door and stood still for a moment. Then she opened her drawer and took out an old object, a small school ID card, faded, almost worn out. She stared at it for a long time. The name on it was partially scratched. Only one word was clearly visible: Blackwood Academy. Maya exhaled slowly and whispered to herself, "This is happening again." Back in his dormitory, Arman lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. His phone was turned off. Yet he still felt like it was ringing, not in his ears, but somewhere deeper, like something was trying to reach him. Then, the phone screen on the table lit up again. Even though it was off, static filled the display. A faint voice followed, barely audible. "Welcome back." Arman didn't move, but in the far corner of the room, a shadow shifted slightly.